So
Have a good meeting.
the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my annoying work background. So you guys don't need to look at that. I didn't realize that was there. All right. Well, thank you for joining. It is Monday, February 24th, 2025 at 6:31 p.m. And this is the Scituate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting. We continue to meet via remote participation. On March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law a supplemental budget bill, which extended the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2025. This further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. This meeting will be recorded by Scituate Community Television and can be viewed live on Scituate Community Television Facebook Live. The recorded meeting will be available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube Scituate Community Television. I will read our commitment statement. This is a safe, secure space for all people, especially people of color, and for all underrepresented people and communities. This is a space where people can bring up challenges and questions without fear. We will assume best intentions and we will treat one another with politeness and respect at all times. This committee is dedicated to these standards. We want our members and others joining our meetings to feel welcomed and respected. Thank you. So with that, I would like to open the meeting. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Kate. All right, calling the roll. Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Sun.
Yes.
Ms. Galata.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes.
And I am yes. Okay, great.
Who's taking notes, Tom?
Let's see here. I think it's me.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the alphabetical here. Yeah, because Celia just did the last one, so I think it is my turn. So Celia sent out the minutes. Honestly, I forget if that was today or yesterday, but last couple days. I did have a chance to look at them. Last meeting was January 22nd. Does anyone have any feedback on the minutes? I don't have any feedback on them. I did review them. I think they are perfectly acceptable.
I thought they were great. I missed the meeting and I felt like I knew what you all talked about. So
Short, sweet, and to the point.
yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so I will move to accept Celia's minutes from January 22nd, 2025. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Angela. All right. Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Ms. Sun.
Yes.
Ms. Gulata.
Yes.
And Ms. Swope.
Yes.
Thanks. And I'm a yes. Okay, great. All right. Here we are. Let's start with, you're always a highlight, Jamil. Let's just start with you. We'll just put you right on the spot. Anything that you'd like to share? I know you've got an event coming up.
So what's up? Good to see folks. I feel like I haven't seen Reverend Stewart in like 5 years. So it's good to see you. Good to see you back in the mix. It's good to see everybody else, but like your face hasn't been on the screen in like a long time. So good to see you. A couple things. In lieu of the onslaught of executive orders and things like that coming from the government and stuff like that, I just want to let folks know that at this point I can share that SPS continues to be on the same path that it was previous to those, and that Everything that's in our strategic plan is still on target and it's a goal. And we are still connected to Lit as our foundation for all of our efforts regarding our community and our district. And I also want to take the time, opportunity to let folks know that Lit is not coded language for DEI. I mean, we've been rocking with Lit from the moment that from 4 years ago. And the only thing that's changed is my title, which was to actually fit what we have been doing, I think, in that regard. So I wanted to let folks know that. Tomorrow I have a meeting I'm attending a meeting at the state capitol with Marcavius, who's our METCO director and visionary. And it's a METCO legislative briefing breakfast kind of thing. And so to be some folks who are politically engaged and people that run METCO as an organization, and they're going to, I guess, talk budget and things like that and see what's going on and let us know where we are with that. We'll see what happens in that regard. We'll see where things lie there. Our folks in Scituate METCO remain lockstep in terms of doing what they do with our district, because we are a district connected to, and they continue to connect with all the different counterparts of our district family and move forward and onward. So I just want to let folks know that.
That's tomorrow, Jamil?
Well, yeah, that's tomorrow in the morning. I think it's at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So my plan is to arrive at that part of Boston by like 7:30, 8 o'clock, so I can get some parking. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I mean, any other time it's going to be horrible. I mean, I'm probably going to park in the garage somewhere. It's just horrible. So I don't know if there's any questions in regards to that piece. If folks are wondering, that's just what we're doing. We're moving forward. Bill and I stay in communication. He's
How is METCO funded?
Now, here's what I'm hoping to find out a little bit more tomorrow. As far as I know, I have resources from the state. What the amount of funding that comes from the government, federally, that is, I'm not quite sure. But then trying to explain to some folks earlier today, I said, here's where METCO potentially, and I could be wrong, but it's just my own mathematical prognosis, if you will, where METCO could be in a situation potentially is if these executive orders were to stay, because I just as of what was it this weekend, there was a judge that blocked the executive orders, saying that they were unconstitutional at this point. So I don't know how long that's going to last. There's temporaries in place, but if the executive order stays as it is, it continues to be followed, where it talks about any programs connect based on race and gender identity and things like that, where some schools may back away. As I'm saying, so there could be a chilling effect in that regard. If folks get that feeling, I don't know what to do, and instead of doing the wrong thing, I'm just going to not do anything, kind of deal. Or this becomes the opportunity to say, we don't need this. And so I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but therein lies where it's an opportunity, I think, for METCO to say some things, be intentional, and who knows, it could potentially redefine itself. We'll see what happens and how this plays out. But Scituate, as folks may or may not know, is actually one of the founding districts for METCO. Like, we've been with METCO for, I want to say, about 50 years almost, yeah. So we're part of the engine of it.
Yeah, I mean, it says here the program is funded by a grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And it gets approved annually by the legislature.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's no federal funding, but who knows?
Yeah. As our guy Tom had mentioned on Wednesday, will be Lit Open House. We'll just give folks some updates on Lit since the last time we met. Last time was, a few fireworks, but that was on the heels of some other conversations that preceded it. This go around is just something that we do every 2 years now. And so, we'll see whether it's 2 people or 30 people, whatever. We're going to do the update. It'll be from 6 to 7, not tomorrow, on Wednesday, from 6 to 7 at the Scituate Library. We'll do that there and we'll give folks an update. I'm looking forward to sharing with folks what's going on. Then regarding the Freedom Team, I want to let folks know that we have 2 representatives from our Scituate Freedom Team that are part of the reigniting of what's called the Freedom Team Youth Scholars, which are the student representatives from each Freedom Team throughout the Commonwealth at this point. And there are 9 Freedom Teams at this point, and actually are 9 student reps at this point. There will be more. So those 9 students actually reflect 4 different districts. So Scituate, Franklin, Holliston, and Wellesley are represented at this point. I know Natick is working on some folks. Whitman is working on some folks. And and I want to say, is it Walpole? Yeah, I think it's Walpole is working on some folks coming through. So that number will grow. So it's good to know that Scituate has 2 represented there. One of them is related to somebody on the screen. Let's see, on Thursday, the high school is doing its 2nd annual now Black History Month acknowledgement that'll take place. It's taking place during the day. And if it goes according to plan, this may be the last that this happens in that way, or it could continue, but the hope is to grow it into something a little bit larger that happens in the evening where more folks can come out to it and things like that. So stay tuned for next year and see what happens. But if you're around at 1:11 on Thursday, check in into the main office at the high school and say you want to check it out. Those are the things that I had to share with folks. You can ask about any of those things. The other thing is I want to share, since I got the floor, is that I believe that this group is an incredible group, and I'm not sure where we landed with the folks who are writing a letter or something like that, but the opportunity to communicate to folks that we are a community, that we are there for each other, that we need to be together is something that I want to continue to implore and share with folks. I have the privilege of being in contact with a few other districts and know that folks are not Scituate. I mean, folks are dealing with some things that are very, very vitriolic and vehemently dangerous in many ways. I mean, we got our things in our community, but we're not in that space. And I think we keep doing what we're doing, we won't end up in those spaces. So that's an opportunity to remind folks what we are about is incredible. Just as recent as today, I was reminding folks about the times that this community, that our Scituate has responded to a number of things. From day 3 when I came at Gates, to the Museum Beach piece, to when we thought we were going to lose our Metco directors. At one point, I said the community continues to show up and show love in incredible ways, and that is not to be taken lightly. It's not something that we should be shy about, and that gives me a lot of fuel, actually, for what we do in our community, in our town. Even when some folks feel different, it's like, okay, we'll be all right. We'll work through it. We'll get together, kind of thing. So I just wanted to just share that, particularly at these times where we can put those messages out. I think it's helpful.
Thanks, Jamil. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for
I'm just
Jamil?
wondering how we can be the most supportive, both as this group, but also perhaps individually outside of the advisory board situation.
It's a great question. There's so much going on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for this committee, but I'm just speaking from a personal level. I mean, there's varying degrees in my own house as to whether we would want to turn on the news right now. Right? I mean, it's just there's they're flooding the zone, to use one of their terms, right? And it's hard to stay on top every single day. There's some, it could be, geopolitical, it could be a culture war that they're fighting that, shouldn't even exist. You know, their nominations, laws, executive orders, it's hard to keep up.
So what I'll share is the story of recent. I had spoke somewhere, and the theme of the conversation was love, freedom, and hate. And at the end of it, about giving more agency to love and freedom over hate, which we give the most access to in most situations. Most of us do that. And so by the time it was all said and done, so this is to your point, Reverend Stewart. A gentleman came up to me at the end of it, and a lot of people talking, and he came up, made sure that I got a chance to have FaceTime with him. And he says, I have a lot of hate in me. And I didn't know where he was going with this. I said, all right, well, let's see where this is going to land. We can maybe have a conversation here. We'll see what's going on. He said, but what, hearing what you were saying today moved me in a different way. And I got to work on that and channel some more love, kind of thing. So I share that story, not to boast or brag, but to say it's just one person at a time, kind of thing. Because for him to make the time, because this is way after it was over. I mean, lots of people talking and stuff like that. For him to make sure that he shared that. And he wasn't there by himself. I want to say a family member was with him. I don't know if it was his partner or cousin, niece, something like that. Somebody else was there. I know she was female presenting. And for him to take the time to make sure that was said, and to say it in front of a whole lot of people was significant. Yeah. And so when you ask what you can do outside of this, sometimes just having a conversation with people. I mean, we fall into the trap that it's us versus them. And right now it's easy to fall into that trap because people are in a way, and they are definitely feeling differently than I feel about a lot of things. And it would be easy to be like, you know what, you over there, so I'm not messing with you. But that's what folks want. That's what hate wants. It wants that. Now we won't ever be together. We're going to be adversaries for life, kind of thing. It just won't happen. The conversation is the opportunity. And oftentimes the conversation doesn't happen because we say, I'm done with you. It's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. And it's okay to feel that way for some folks. I consider myself a fireman of sorts. No disrespect to the fireman. I mean, I'll run into the fire. Let's talk. Let's figure it out. Let's see what's going on. Throw your best and your worst at me. Let's see where we land with that. Not everybody has to do that, and that's fine. But the trap is always going to be for us to think it's us versus them. That's how we got here. You know what I mean? But as we tell our daughters, you always come from love. But sometimes if people don't show you love, you got to love them differently. And that might mean you got to protect yourself. But that might mean you got to distance yourself, or you have to use different language. So just recognize that piece. So I'll pause. But I just wanted to give you that little story to kind of help give you some perspective on what do you do outside of the group. We got to we do the right thing. Here's what it is. Don't do the wrong thing, especially when we know it's wrong, no matter who's telling us to do the wrong thing. That's the thing. Anyway, I can go on.
Thank you, Jamil. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all got here from doing what y'all felt was the right thing. I mean, y'all made this years ago. For doing what y'all felt was the right thing. Keep doing it.
I think it's important to stay committed to our goal. And our goal is simple. It's for fairness and equality and having everyone feel that they belong and they're being heard. So it's hard, like Tom says, I don't want to listen to the news, but I have young people in my family and that I care about, and I want them to be positive. So what do I tell them is, treat people with empathy. I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman of color, and I don't judge other people, and I don't want to be judged or have anyone assume where I am or I have what I have because of any handout or anything that I didn't deserve. Because it's personal being an immigrant and being a woman of color. I have my faith, and I believe, I won't go down to, people that I won't question anyone's faith. But I think if we all live and treat people how whatever how higher power we believe in, we'll have a better society. So let's stay focused on what's important, and not let the loud noise, take away from what our goal is. And our goal is simple. We want everyone to feel treated equally and have the same opportunities, and be treated, fairly. That's what inclusion is. That's what diversity is. That's what equity is. Nothing more than that. You can call it, and it makes me angry because you get 3 letters that are used as a scapegoat now to make people hate. And I don't want to hate anyone, and I don't. I won't allow that. So let's just, as our committee, I'm very proud of this community that I've lived in, 90% of my life. It's not perfect, but I wouldn't live anywhere else, and I'll just continue to work to make it better.
Well said, Angela.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think and I shared it with the committee. Each year we need to submit a report, a letter, whatever you want to call it, as part of an annual report, right? It gets printed and distributed. It's available online. It'll be on the town website. It gets handed out at town meeting and so forth. And Angela sent me some feedback because I'm king of the acronym, right? Because I can write less mostly, right? So all over the annual report, it was DEI, STEIC, and Angela suggested, and I know why, get that out of there, right? Because why draw attention to a 3-letter word, which means a lot, diversity, equity, inclusion, if you look at the words, but it's become a 4-letter word from the top down in this country. So I did that. I attached the final copy if you guys want to see it to the chat, but what I tried to focus on there was more, and hopefully it came through at least a little bit, the fact that we have been at this for 4+ years, and we're still here, and we are grateful to the town. No one has contacted me yet. The Bob Clarks of the world have not contacted me to say that, hey, you guys are done. The select board and so forth, right? So I haven't had a lot of contact with the select board, which is something that I do want to talk about. Just to make sure that they know that we're still here. Because I think it's important. I think it sets the culture in a lot of ways for a town like this, and it would be I'm not. Please don't read into anything with what I'm saying here, because like I said, I have no indication the town would go to the lengths of shuttering a committee or anything like that. But I am curious if anyone's heard anything around, for example, the select board has, and Jamie's not on, but the select board has 5 members, and I know 2 members are stepping down, and that vote is coming up, and I'm not sure if anyone has any intel as to how they're going to fill those slots, who's potentially running, so on and so forth. But it's something I think we do need to take a look at or be aware. Jamil?
Are you saying people that they're not finishing their term?
No, I think it's just, they're not going to run for re-election.
Okay, all right.
I think there'll be 2 seats open in this coming next term.
Yeah.
Kevin Conley and Kevin Canfield, I believe, are not seeking reelection. So
Okay.
Is there something we could do to encourage people of color or other, our board is usually all white, right? So there's something we can do to maybe make them feel more welcome to run. I mean, I know we can't get them elected, but could we
I
just make
nominate Angela.
Yeah. I would nominate Angela or Dina, but
Or any of you. I get
but
it.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think there were active members of this community who I think would probably, kind of that I think this committee would probably welcome having them run. And if anyone has any sort of personal relationship with them, I think it wouldn't hurt to implore people to put their name in the hat, So that's one thing I think we could consider doing.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just don't want to. I think we can't be seen as like having a candidate, right? Like we can't be seen as endorsing one particular person. So I was thinking more broad strokes. Individually, we can talk to people, but I don't know, broad strokes as a committee. Is there a way we can?
Yeah, I agree with Bob. I think reaching out to people that we know in the community, other than myself, that, that may want to run. I think obviously, we know people that are open-minded and care, about the community and all the good work that the community is doing. And yeah, I think we should all do that.
And I just want to make a point. I think, both Jamil and Angela, I really appreciated what both of you guys said. And even to Tom's point. And, I mean, it's definitely been a really frustrating number of months, 6 months, however long it's been. And I've kind of, used a similar strategy of just like turning the news off. And it's just been a difficult period. But, on the flip side, it's like I think I have an interesting perspective. I've been with the town for 7 years, and I came from a very progressive organization when I worked for the city of Boston Public Health Commission. And when I came to the town of Scituate, it was a very different environment. But I think that, and I attribute it somewhat to the work of this committee. I'm seeing a sort of change, a focus that I don't know that existed previously. So the conversations around DEI efforts, the trainings that we've done, and I think that, and we've gotten some really strong progressive people employed by the town. And I'm starting to see sort of a change. People are starting to look at the work they're doing from a particular perspective, and I think it's been really effective. And I think that I think over the last couple of years, there's just been more conversations, more discussions about, considering things related to equity and inclusion, and so I'm starting to see, and I've seen it over the last couple of years. I'm starting to see an evolution in terms of just the town and how we provide services. And maybe that's just me trying to be optimistic, but I mean, every once in a while, it'll just be a conversation I'll have with someone, and that's my thought. It's like, yeah, they got it, and I think it's, we have some really good leaders in terms of like you know, Jesse at the library and Linda at the senior center. And so I'm feeling really positive. And I think a lot of it is the work that we're doing. So as sort of defeated as I sometimes feel sort of nationally, when I just sort of focus on our own little world and the stuff that we're doing. And I think, and we can continue to have that impact. And I don't think there's anything that we're doing that's at risk at this point. I think that we have a lot of support for the work that we're doing, and I think we continue to work on it.
Thanks for saying that. Optimism is good right now.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear. I mean, because sometimes it's hard, right? Because there are times where I'm not sure how many people in town really even know that we exist, right? It's not something that we advertise. We don't have name tags. We don't walk around town saying that we're part of this committee. But I mean, I will say that, when I have discussed it, when it's come up in conversation, I mean, it's well received, certainly, at least to my face. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Other thoughts on this topic? Okay, thank you. Well, you know what? Let me address one other point that you brought up, Jamil. Um, so last time we met, it's probably 4 weeks ago. We did talk about, I think everybody's heads were spinning, and that was right, I think at the beginning of, and I know a lot of what we talked about in the last meeting was prompted by, I think, Natasha, you and I just traded some emails, or no, we had a quick conversation. You were in the car, yeah, about the concept of sanctuary cities, the whole ICE situation and the immigrant situation, and so on and so forth. And granted, at least not that I know of, Scituate isn't necessarily doesn't have a huge population of illegal immigrants, at least to our knowledge, right? So we did talk a fair amount about that, and everybody traded like some great information. So okay, these are your rights, and Kate had a bunch of information, Celia had a bunch of information. So we have all kinds of links to information and all that type of stuff. And I saw that the Hingham Unity Council was putting out some information with the same type of information. I think they were putting phone numbers to the ACLU, all this type of stuff. So all that stuff was great. I have traded emails with Andrew Goodrich. Angela and I met like the next day, or like at the end of that week. We met for like an hour at Need. We just kind of talked about stuff. And I still have not made contact with the select board. That's as much on me as it is on anybody else. My schedule from my day job has been kind of crazy lately. But I do have a note into Andrew to talk to him, and I have not heard from Jamie in a while. So that's someone else that's on my list to understand. Well, not to understand. That's the wrong way to put it. But just to touch base with Jamie and talk about some of the ideas that we've had to put out. And I want to level set with you guys and have you direct me, or we talk openly. We've talked for a while now about putting out some type of message coming from us or coming from the select board as to, a message of positivity. That's a lot of what Angela and I talked about, was keeping it positive, letting them know that this is where I kind of struggle, because I'm not sure if I'm the one who should be writing this, but putting a message out that either comes from us or comes from the select board lets them know that, we are a resource. We're looking for projects. I'm not sure exactly how to go about it. So I did want to kind of talk about that a little bit. I know we've talked about it in the past, and it's still not crystal clear in my mind what I'm asking for.
Tom, is it that you're asking for something, or is it just letting people know we're here and what our purpose is again? I guess it's almost like do we need to rebrand us? Like, is that?
Maybe.
Because again, I think, with so much loud noise, we want to stay focused on the positive. The letter that you wrote, or the summary that you wrote for the annual report, maybe we post that on our town page. Let people read what we've done this past year.
I was thinking exactly the same thing, Angela.
Yeah, I think we just need to.
That's easy. I already wrote it.
Things that we've done to help our community, whether it's, and again, the whole inclusivity and inclusion, it's not just on race. It's not on, it's everyone in the community, the elders, the children. So I think maybe we need to just share that information with folks. I think a lot of it is people getting the real truth of what we do, and not believe something that's not true for, what this committee, does and who it does it for.
I was
I'm
wondering
on
if,
board with that.
like, along with that, we could put some of the resources that we've been talking about. I mean, not that are individually promoting any like business, but some of the other resources out there for people around everything, like all the things that we deal with, right? So we could kind of almost have like a resource page on the town website that if, can read this beautiful letter that Tom has written, and here's a bunch of helpful links to places that can give you support in whatever category you fall under of needing that kind of support.
That's great. I think that's great because, we can include the categories that, would help an elderly person or someone with a child with special needs.
Yeah.
Those other categories. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I moved to town, I mean, my kid has special needs and there's a lot here for him. And like you kind of had to like either rely on someone at the school telling you or figure it out yourself or hear it from somebody else in town, right? Like there was no like, here's the list, here it is. Like that would be super helpful for a parent who's navigating special needs children for the first time ever, especially in this town. So
Okay.
And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of that exists already. I know that, Erica Sorvis from the Social Services Department, I think she on the town website has some really helpful links. So it may not be entirely, in the same area as what we're talking about, but there's certainly some resources have already been sort of identified, which we could easily pull from, I think.
Okay.
I was just quickly curious. I feel like there was a statement written up in the fall by us. Tom, I just checked my email. You had sent it to Jamie. Did that ever go anywhere or no?
No,
Okay.
that was you talking about the pre-election thing?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that didn't. That never got lifted off.
Was there feedback or was it just kind of got lost in the shuffle or kind of thing?
A little bit of everything. I think we put it forward. Jamie brought it forward. They talked about it in one of the select board meetings. Then I think Bob, you may have gotten involved. There was I forget if there was a note from Sherry. She asked me about it. Then I traded emails with Andrew Goodrich, who's the select board chair. And by the time all this transpired, the election was over.
Yeah, it was a timing issue as much as anything else.
What's that?
It was a timing issue as much as anything
Yeah,
else. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah.
just, 'cause remember we were
Nobody
it
ever
was,
pushed back. Nobody pushed
yeah,
back.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to make that clear. Yeah. Okay. So with regards to, I'm going to treat these as two separate things, right? So the annual report, I can propose that gets, I don't know if it would go on the town webpage because, or if I can see if they can put it on their Facebook page. As much as I hate Facebook, I don't mean to use the word hate.
I think the webpage, because if you're
Like
looking for things in town, it's a stagnant thing. Whereas Facebook, I mean, we could put it on Facebook too, but that's like you see it on the thread and then it's gone in a couple days. But I think it should
Okay.
be on the website
Okay.
as a stagnant, like, here, this is the work we're doing if you're really wondering, for whenever you're wondering.
Yeah, and I can talk to them about sort of the most appropriate forum for it to be in. I
Could
can
you
have a
do that?
conversation
That'd be
with them.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. And yeah, if you just let me know if there's anything I need to do.
You have something, at least a draft of something you could send to me, Tom, or is it the one that you had already shared?
I'll it's in the chat in PDF form. I can send you a Word version
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, just so they know what I'm, okay.
Yeah, I will send that to you. And then as far as space where we put helpful links and so forth. Do we want to do some legwork and put that together first?
Yeah, I think that I don't know who approves what goes on the town website, but I feel like it will get approved if we have some examples of versus this idea, like a sort of a nebulous idea that might not be
100%.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that kind of research, I'll be honest, but I think we should have some examples. But if Erica's got some, we could pull some from Erica. I mean, that's a great place to start.
We have a DEI page, correct? That we could
We
just
do.
it could live there, right?
Yeah.
As long as we point people towards it.
Right.
I mean, who goes to the DEI page is my point, right?
Well, maybe a lot if there's a whole bunch of helpful links there.
Right.
And I think that to Natasha's point, if I
Make
was
it a
moving,
destination, but
Yeah.
sorry, Elena.
no, I was just gonna say to Natasha's earlier point, if I was a parent moving to the town and I had a child, I might actually go there because I would like that would be something that I would think to like I would probably go to the social school website. Like I would search that, I think. As a parent, I think that would make
Yeah.
sense.
And if we put it on the town website, would it make sense to then what we put on Facebook could just be like a link, like, hey, check out the new updated DEI website, not necessarily content on Facebook, but just a notification to people that it exists and to check it out. Like we could advertise the page more.
Periodically, right?
Agreed.
It's actually cool if you go to our website, if you will, it's not our website, but like our page, there is like on the right hand side, there's news and announcements. So like our latest news was when we changed the committee name, whenever that happened.
That was like the
That
very
was like before we
months.
started.
So I could imagine
We were like, this name sucks. Let's get a new one.
so
I think that
I
was the first time we ever voted on
Where do we find our page? I'm actually having trouble finding it.
I just Googled Scituate DEI and it was like the first hit, which is a great SEO results. But
There you go.
I'm just
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
if they're okay with us
It's
posting.
on the committees probably, right? On the main page.
It's under
Yes.
government and then committees, boards and committees, and then there's a list of all the town boards and committees.
Yep.
It's not easy to find, but it's there.
No. But again, if you Google Scituate DEI, it does come up #1. So I think more likely people will find us that way than like starting at the home. But anyway, my point being is that if they're okay with us posting the annual report as like an update on progress, it'll also be linked there on this page forever, which will be a great way to find it because if this thing is here from 2021, it'll be there for
I do
at
have
least another 5 years.
I do have edit rights.
You
I mean,
can
that's how I post the agenda, right? But I've never tried to tinker with anything else, to be honest with you.
Just go rogue and post it.
Do it, Tom.
It's our page.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the annual report. Like it's not.
I'm just gonna say this. I go in under Ruth.
Yeah. See, Ruth knew how to do it. That was the last time it was posted. Anyway.
She's a stickler and she lives across the street from me. So I didn't just say that. We're gonna wipe that part of this meeting from the records.
Tom, I think I have the instructions on how to post things from the Sister City Committee. I can look at it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, there's that, and then so I'm confident we'll be able to upload the annual report, and even links. But then I guess the question then goes back to how do we let the town know, right? So if that's by utilizing the town Facebook page to get them to link in, is that a question you can ask, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I could envision the town periodically posting something from DEI, if it's every 3 months or something like that, basically notifying something that we're working on and then mentioning that there's a links to useful resources on our website and our web page, and then providing a link there.
Yeah,
I can have a conversation with them about doing that, but I mean, I'm not sure that we can have a permanent sort of link or announcement on the front page of the town website, but on Facebook, I don't see any reason we can't just periodically be posting something on the town web Facebook page, directing people to our site.
yeah, just something. And check out the Scituate Diversity,
Right.
Equity, and Inclusion Committee's annual report from 2025.
Right. Anything that we add something new or we add a new link. Um, so that's easily done, I think. But I can have that conversation as well. And I think maybe perhaps we just find a way to identify what we feel would be the most useful links. I can certainly have a conversation with Erica and look at the page that she's created. Again, that's primarily focused on social services related resources. But again, there may be other things that even if it's through the school department that may be useful. I don't know how we make that determination or how we research that further.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about Erica and Social Services Board of Health, because for those of you that were with us, it was a lot of that work was done in 2023, but working with Erica and her group, and Bob, you were a huge part of that. We had a lot of different discussions, made a recommendation to the select board about a year and a half ago to, hire, try to bring on some additional resources for Erica, who was pretty stretched, to say the least. We talked to the Scituate Police Department about an embedded social worker and so on and so forth. So just recently, Erica asked if I would participate in a survey, and then do an interview with this group from Boston University that through, I'll just call it a coalition between Scituate, Hingham, Cohasset. They have a grant which is paying for some additional resources, and part of that is these students. I shouldn't call them students. Well, maybe they are students, or they're doctoral students at BU. And I did an hour-long interview with them just last week, and it brought back a lot of memories from working with Erica and just some of the struggles that she's having. They now have a survey that does. Well, first of all, has anyone heard about this survey? Natasha, you have?
Yeah,
Somebody
I'm
else
doing
has?
it on behalf of the Scituate clergy. So yeah, doing the same things.
Okay. So one of the things that I talked to the students about, and then I emailed back and forth with Erica, and then I CC'd you, Bob, is how do we increase the number of respondents to that survey? Because I still recall that from working with Erica, one of the even though her bandwidth is not great, one of the bigger issues in town, especially for like the elderly population and so forth, is they don't know a lot of the great services that are provided by the town, and how can we amplify that, right? So, and there's a link to the survey and so forth. I'll actually put the link in the chat in a few minutes. But Bob, is that something that has essentially that email last week that we could potentially get out through the town email?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. I mean, the survey itself it's great. It asks a lot of,
Yeah, it is.
sort of substance abuse, mental health related questions. It's specific to the individual, whether or not they've been the victim of any bias, what is the demographic background, all that. So I think it could be really helpful, particularly for the social services department, but potentially even for us to get a little better handle on kind of what some of the issues the residents are dealing with. But anyway, so I had sent that same email, Tom. I had sent that on to Jim Boudreau and to Shari and Michelle, who handled all the social media aspects of it. But Jim actually, he mentioned, I didn't know he was going to do this, but he mentioned it at his update today. And he provided a link during his update. He provided a link to the survey, and then when they posted the update online, they actually included the link as well. So he had done that. I think he really liked the idea. We thought it could be useful. I did talk to them today about whether or not I told them we were having this meeting today, and I anticipated we'd probably look to ask the town to send a link to this survey out through its email blast. And I feel like we could potentially reach a fair amount of people doing that. So, I told them, I'd find out from this conversation, but my thought was we'd all be inclined to advocate for that, which they seem to be amenable to. So,
I am. I
yeah,
put it
all
in the
right.
chat if you guys want to take a look at it. It says 10 or 15 minutes to complete it. It's probably definitely that because it is. It's pretty comprehensive if you take the time to go through it. But it is. It's good. It touches on a lot of stuff. Whoever put the survey together, these B students, they did a really nice job, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
so I can certainly, ask for them to send it out. I would also, I think it would be really interesting for us to ultimately get some of the results back as well. Because I think it potentially impacts the work that we do.
okay, that would be great. Yeah, I mean, if we get access to the results, I mean, yeah, I think the finance would be really good. It does. It covers a lot of different things,
And
socioeconomic and all kinds of different.
and again, we're talking about what we would want to see on our DEI page. I mean, this link is another good example of something that could live there. So.
Exactly. Okay, cool. All right, thanks, Bob. That would be awesome. Excuse me. Uh, what else? What else? I guess the only other topic, and where is she? Uh, so Carrie, your uncle, right? Is it your uncle, Pier 44?
That's right.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. So they're having a they have a meeting coming up, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly what the date is. It's in my calendar, assuming that I can even make it. Actually, just give me 1 second, I'll find it. So our DEI committee, because we've had some discussions with them, and we were talking about a land acknowledgement at first, and now we're talking more about, um, celebrating the history of Scituate, which definitely dates back to indigenous roots, as we know. Um, I actually traded emails today with Sherry. Um, so I sent an email to Sherry because there was a note about memorial opportunities in town, and the conversation with Paul. Hopefully, I don't butcher this too bad. Barkowitz. Um, he is, you know, he's heading up the. I'll just call it the Pier 44 committee, and there is a note in their next agenda. It's March 6th. So just in a couple, that's probably next week. Um, there is I'm sorry. I thought there was something in there about um, an acknowledgement or working with our committee on a message and just trying to kind of move that forward. I'm not articulating this very well at all. I apologize.
The last time you and I talked about this and then I connected with Paul was just looking back at my emails back in the fall, so in October, uh I reached out to them and just kind of reminded that we had talked about a land acknowledgement in the park. Wanted to follow up with them for any updates on their progress with this and how we could work together. And so at that time, uh, Paul's email, I can put it in the chat, had said it would be helpful to have the proposed text for this acknowledgement. We'll work with your committee on the best way to do this. So, and then it kind of has gotten, nothing has happened since then. So I think the action
Okay.
item on our end was we were going to work on proposed text. But I guess I don't know exactly. We should probably clarify what exactly that would mean. What kind of text they're
Yeah,
looking for. Like
I
just
think we
do
do.
they want in writing? Yeah, like this is basically what the ask was. I'll put this in the chat. Like, do they just want in writing like what we think?
I think we have some more work to do on our side. I think I did send the note to Sherry. She did get back to me this afternoon, and she said, they're aware that the Pier 44 group is working on incorporating the three sister cities into the design, which is great. So obviously, Cape Verde, and then the Irish and the French sister cities. So that's great. I think what we were looking for, and maybe we shifted away from land acknowledgement to more of a historical thing. I don't know. I think it's something that this committee has to put a little more work into to figure out what that looks like. And I think we have time. I don't think the Pier 44 project, they're not going to be putting shovels into the dirt for a while now. I think. I don't have an update on that, but I think it's still a ways out. I don't know if anyone else has an update on that.
I have a question. Could it be like a bit of a history of Scituate, and is there a history committee or group that might be interested in partnering with us on that?
The Historical Society.
There you go. That sounds like a good partner.
And they have been digging more into the Native Americans and heritage and some of that lately as well. They've been sort of emphasizing that in some of their offerings and stuff. So I think they would have some things to offer that would be real history of Scituate.
Does anyone have any contacts with the Historical Society, and would they like to raise their hand to contact them and kick off the discussion?
I will.
Thank you.
If you want to include me in any of that, feel free to. And because I can kind of help with any coordination or just second person to help you out with that.
Oh, I was just going to contact them and say, do you have any information? But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we can see where what they.
They may already have plans, right? So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would be fairly easy for them to pull something together. But is that what they pull together? Will that be what we want? So I think it probably needs to be sort of a offline collaborative conversation. So Carrie, that could be you and me and some people from the Historical Society and have that conversation and see what's important. And then we can bring whatever's decided back to this bigger group. Is it still 3 people, Tom, that we can only have together offline?
4.
It's 4. Okay. So if anyone wants to join us.
Okay, well, thanks for running with that. We are nearing the bottom of the hour. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to discuss? What am I skipping? And thanks everyone for working with me on the dates. I know I'm throwing these dates out like last minute and stuff, but hopefully once we get, March is going to be crazy for me too, but at least the first couple of weeks, and then it should slow down. We'll see. Any other business? All right.
Able
Okay.
to set some dates now, Tom? Because that I know from my calendar
I can try for March. Yeah, there's no school vacation week that week. like I'd rather not meet on Mondays, and I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. The 18th or the 25th should both work for me.
The 25th is a concert at the school. I don't know if that affects you, Tom.
No, does not.
Does not anymore. Okay, it used to, so it does not anymore.
It absolutely used to, but no, I have a senior, and she's the only one that's left, and yeah, she's not doing concerts. So she's counting down the days to graduation. That's what she's doing. All right, well, let's
so I could do the
let's-
18th. There's no
yeah,
school.
let's tentatively plan on March 18th.
Okay.
If people want to try to put that with a tentative hold in their calendars. Thanks for bringing that up. You got to put me on the spot. No,
I do. Sorry.
get to it.
But if I
No,
put
no,
it on the calendar now, I'm more likely
I
to
appreciate
be
it.
here. And to Jamil's
yeah.
point, he hasn't seen me on the screen lately. It's
I
like
know.
if you ask me a few days before, I usually have a full schedule. It's not because I don't want to be here.
We get it. We get it. All right. Excellent. All right. So it is 7:32 p.m. and I would like to call an adjournment to the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Calling the roll. Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Ms. Galata,
Yes.
Ms. Sun,
Yes.
and Ms. Swope.
Yeah.
And I am a yes. The meeting is adjourned.